Hi, hey, this is John Laval, Society of NLP, and we've been getting some questions lately. I thought I'd take the opportunity to answer some of them and sort of clarify, about things about in-person training, hey, what's new in NLP and all those things. So let me answer these questions for you. I'm going to read them off too. Let's see. It says it's so much less expensive to fly or drive to a location and pay for lodging and meals than to just sit in my house and attend a virtual training. Why would I spend money that I don't have to spend to get a certification? Well, first of all, if you don't have the money, I don't think you should come to the seminar. Let me just start with that. But I find that most people who say they don't have the money, a lot of them, they do have the money. It's just a matter of whether they want to spend it or not. There's a lot to be said about in-person training because of the way NLP was very first developed and still exists today. And that is you had to work live with a person in front of you, face to face. Otherwise, you're missing a lot of information. And, there are a lot of things you can do online and learning things intellectually, but NLP is not really an intellectual technology. It's a let's do something technology, really. So you need a certain level of skill in order to be able to do this. Also, things like on a Zoom call, for example, or whatever other platform you're using, you don't have the opportunity to see the entire body of the person, which you need. Also, there's always a time delay. So, let me put it this way. People say, well, what do you mean their entire body? Because NLP is about how the brain works and language. And along with that language comes, not just verbal language, but also nonverbal language and body language. And sometimes people will unconsciously signal things and you won't see them if they wiggle their foot or if they move their foot a little bit, things like that. And just simply because of the precision in video things like this with Zoom, it's just not there. So you're missing a lot. Another thing is there's anchoring. You can anchor in 5 different ways. Of course, you can use your voice, and then you can use the kinesthetics. You can touch somebody, anchor them in a certain place, things like this. You can anchor visually. Those are all easy enough to do when you're in live in front of a person. It's not really, NLP wasn't really designed. People call it a self-help technology. It's not even a self-help technology, actually. Sure, you can use some of the techniques on yourself if you want to. However, that's not why the reason it was initially designed. So let me see. And there's another question here, a couple of questions here I want to get to. What essentials are involved in an NLP certification course, and why is it essential to get in-person training versus online versions of the training? It's like reading a book. You can read a book on certain things, of course, and you can glean some information. But here's the way our brains work in order to do things, and I mean do things behaviorally, is that you put in the information, however you put it in, and you run through some filters and you store it in your brain. And in order for you to be able to generate those behaviors, okay, you must output those behaviors in words, deeds, whatever, in order to really get that information locked in your brain so that you can do things with NLP and not just talk about NLP, which is what a lot of people can do. We get people come to a seminar and I can ask them the question, show me anchoring, go anchor that person to something. Let me know what you're going to do. And they say, well, let me tell you how I'm going to do it. And I'm not interested in how you're going to do it. I'm going to watch you do it, and then we'll observe the result of you doing it. It's not a matter of you can explain it to me. I can probably explain to you, although maybe not, I don't know, how to fly an airplane. So would you get into an airplane with me just because I can explain to you how to fly an airplane, making you think I can fly an airplane? No. Now, if I can fly an airplane and you're with me in the airplane and you can watch me and hear me and everything else, fly the airplane, you're more apt to be able to get and want to get into an airplane with me. That's the way this works. So just because people can talk about NLP and sound really, really fancy and seem like they know what they're doing, doesn't mean they can actually generate the behaviors, because you've got to be able to output the behaviors in order to be really skillful at using NLP. Let's see, I have another question here. Most of the virtual courses, the tuition fee is much less than an in-person fees you are charging. Why is the pricing so different? Well, first of all, we go to a hotel or someplace, a venue, that we've got to pay for the venue. And we also pay for coffee. We also pay for, sometimes we supply some like desserts or things like that. And so you got to get to the place, of course, And there's nothing, absolutely nothing like being in the room live with your trainers, your fellow trainees doing the exercises. And there's nothing better than the energy that's in that room for you to understand how easy it is to use the techniques that we teach and the skills that we want you to develop. It's really essential, I have to tell you. So those are some of the things about why is it important. Let me see, and I see, okay, so I'm convinced that I should attend in-person training in order to maximize my time, experience, and learning. So other companies will finance my learning, but you will not. Why? There are a number of reasons why. First of all, we'll let you have a payment plan if you like. It must be paid in full before the seminar starts, because once you leave the seminar, you got the information in your head, you can do all these other things, and yet you're still sitting there trying to figure out how to finish paying for your tuition. I just wrote an article in my newsletter. That's at nlp-newsletter.com, and I did it this month. That's in this month, July. So you can read about that because I talk about this. I talk about, financing, students. The problem is this: if you're already that much in debt, why would I want to put you further in debt? That'd be crazy. And that's exactly one of the reasons why we just won't do it. We won't finance you. There are other people who will do that, but they're going to put you more into debt. We're just not going to do that. We don't believe in it. And so I don't know what else to tell you about this one. Okay. So let's see what else we got here. Oh, there's something else I've seen on different articles. Well, Richard Bandler doesn't teach anything new. There's really nothing new in NLP, or what is new in NLP. I'm going to explain this to you as best I can. The things that are not ever going to change is the basic technology and the skills in that technology. Anything that anyone can come up with that's new is going to be a technique. So here's how I explain it. And you can actually read about this online too. It's all a long word, but it's NLPisnottherapy.com. Okay, NLPisnottherapy.com. You can go check out the article. So here it goes. So let's say if I were to teach you how to bake a chocolate cake, you come to my John's Chocolate Cake Baking Workshop. You're going to be able to make one great chocolate cake. And if someone comes to you and says, hey, John, I want to make an pineapple upside down cake, you're not going to know how to do that because I only taught you how to bake a chocolate cake. Okay? This is the difference between skills and techniques. Now, if I teach you all of the elements of baking, I teach you about different ingredients, how they act under different environments. I teach you about heat. I teach you about humidity. I even teach you about elevation because, the higher you are, like on a mountain and things like that, you have to change your baking technique, whatever. You have to change the parameters. So if I teach you all of that, and then you know about all of those things, and those would come under like the basics, technology, and then I teach you how to bake a chocolate cake, you're still going to make one great chocolate cake. Now, because you know how baking works, because I taught you about baking, then if someone came to you and said, hey, I want to make me a pineapple upside down cake, you're going to pretty well be able to figure that out. You might have to check out a couple of things, but now you've got the technology in order to know how to bake, because that's what's important. So if I teach you all of the elements of the basic elements of NLP in terms of skills, those aren't going to change. And I have to tell you, I've been doing this for a long time. I don't really believe there's anything new with that. There are always going to be new techniques. Someone's going to come up with techniques which are combinations of the different skills. I had people say, well, what about XYZ? I'll go watch XYZ. Someone's doing XYZ. And I say, yep, there it is. Anchoring this, this, and this. So if you have all of those available to you as a set of skills, you're going to be able to design a technique when it's necessary. Because here's the other thing I tell people. Hey, you know what? The technique you learn is always going to work until the first time it doesn't. And the first time it doesn't work, you want to know what to do next. If you have a full set of skills, you can pretty well sort it out. It's really that simple. And the subtle things, that's what most people are missing. A lot of the subtle things in terms of the skills work the best in terms of helping people get what they want and to reformat their brain so that they can start to get more of what they want out of their life. It's really, I mean, so simple, it's not even funny to me. I've been doing this for a long time. So all of these things are making, we do it the best we can. We make it simple. We have Richard Bandler with us in the training room. He also makes himself available to people, at the seminars. You can go up and you can talk to him. You can ask him a question or two. He may or may not answer the question, of course, depending on how many people have questions. And there's no dull moments. I have to tell you that. No, there are no dull moments in any of the seminars we do. They're full of action. They're full of learning. They're full of you're going to work with other people, and that's the other element that's important. You get work with different people, and you get feedback on how you did the first time around. The funny part about this is people want to think they can do things perfectly the first time. I remember when I first learned to ride a bicycle. I couldn't ride a bicycle perfectly. It took me a while. I remember when I first learned to drive an automobile. I had so many things I didn't know I had to watch out for and look for and listen to. I counted them one time. I don't forget the real number of things, but I counted up like there was 43 things that you actually do if you're doing driving effectively and watching things all around you, all the mirrors, things like this. Watching the road, watching the lines on the road, watching for people coming around you, in front of the person in front of you, the person behind you, all those things. I counted them one time. I think it was 43. I'm not sure. So, and once I learned how to drive an automobile and do all of those things, I was able to drive an automobile much, much better. I have to tell you that. I would have never learned it from a book. Okay. So, hey, this is it. You'd be surprised. We got lots of trainers out there from the Society of NLP. I highly recommend you go to a licensed trainer with the Society of Neuro-Linguistic Programming. And let's stay in touch, okay? Go to the websites, go check it out. Go watch out for people. Go find out what's really going on out there, okay? Thank you very much, and I hope to see you soon.